So what are your top rogue decks for June 2026 Glorious Gallery format? Make sure you guys smash the button out of that Teller Knight button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. I think that this is probably the most interesting of the rogue challengers that we got right now, because we get to actually see how our rank 4 package that we've already got existing, we have all the Automata Mat stuff, how that's going to build into the existing Teller Knight pile. Japan had a very interesting working concept with Teller Knights, basically stripping out the Rizal package and using the Automata Mat package to basically be able to facilitate a true rank 4 turbo deck. And I think we might actually be seeing something like that here, just kind of as this new meta starts to develop itself. Now, obviously, players are going to want to take a step back and maybe not look at this through the eyes of having to be an Automata Mat pile. But I think you want the Utopia stuff to be there for you, because their job is to make your deck more consistent. All right, you've also can play Rizal cards in it, I guess, if you want to try, but I don't recommend it due to the weird rank up lines. RB. Monolac proved to the world that RB could still be innovated. We got the chance to see Gizmek Uka popping out of the spotlight and actually showcasing to the world that, wow, we have consistency being born by just being able to bring out a ray from the deck, giving you access to basically, punish the opponent, which I thought was really freaking cool, man. The ray turns into a Sky Striker 0 during the opponent's turn, which gives you a form of interruption for you to be able to play into, or at least play into interrupting the opponent, which seems kind of nice, honestly. I like having that little reassurance setting up into that form of interruption, so your deck actually can do something. So good job to Monolac for actually showcasing innovation, and I think putting RB back in the spotlight for a lot of players. Fairy Tale. Fairy Tale is going to get very interesting. Now, what really sucks is we didn't get the Witchcrafter Vuri. Or the made version of this. Had we gotten the made version of this, I think the Spellcaster pile would have had an opportunity to evolve into probably a more positive direction, and at least would have been able to do some, I want to say, very interesting little play lines. But we didn't necessarily get that. We got the Jenny, we got, the Endymion, and a lot of that little stuff, which is fine for doing things, but I think maybe the current list might be the superior list for the time being. But we'll be patient. We'll wait and see, where the developments are going to kind of lead us with this deck, because it's probably the most underexplored that we got. Thanks, Fairy Tale Snow, for doing your job. We also have DDD. I think I'm pretty impressed with DDD showing. This deck managed to basically top 32 the YCS, and I don't think a lot of people, there's no way people were sitting here going, yeah, DDD is still a real deck in 2026. Well, the rogue department hasn't really changed all that much. To be truthfully honest with you, I think all of the same tools that these decks have had since their beginning phases has pretty much remained the same. The only real, changes in philosophy that we've had has just been like, you got Dominus Spark into the deck now. You have 3 more defensive options for this deck to be able to interrupt and push through anything that the opponent's trying to do. And that seems pretty decent, all things considered. So I do like that. You've got some consideration for some power plays. And then we still have Enneacraft. Enneacraft still has been kind of performing what I would consider decently well in some of the tournament scenes. Going into the YCS weekend, it didn't have a top 32 top, but that doesn't mean, it's still not doing what it's supposed to do as a rogue deck. I think one thing that might kind of push Enneacraft back a little bit will be the presence of other decks. Cool Tune is still an extremely good deck, but as the meta is kind of shifting around here in the sphere, you guys got to remember that, this deck was being played a lot more to counter Cool Tune. If less Cool Tune is present, then, the deck has to start thinking in other matchups, and Anycraft doesn't have every good matchup as a free cakewalk. That's, not the reality of what we get with these sorts of tournaments. So that's something to kind of think about with Anycraft. Now, Luna Lights. I really wanted to leave Luna Light still in, like, the top, and I'm not going to say that Luna Lights has fallen off, because that's not the case. This deck can still make Luna Light Liger Dancers like it's its job, and it can still steal games away from the opponent. That is not changing anytime soon, and I do not expect that to change, period. What I think is happening, though, is as Branded has kind of shifted around more on the spectrum of power, you've just got more balancing that's kind of shifting around in the meta, which is kind of making it harder for, a deck like Luna Lights maybe to gauge into, or maybe there's just being better outs presented into Liger Dancer. Point is, it's still here. It's just some of the meta looks like it's kind of pressuring in on itself and making it a little bit harder for Luna Lights to kind of get that footing. We have Yummy. It's very, very strange in Paradise to see that, Yummy has pretty much it poofed. I think the thing that was holding Yummy together was the multi-engine deck. Honestly, the fact that deck was able to spew through all of the potential power that it could have, where you're like, oh, Radiant Typhoon bridges me into one package, Fiendsmith slapping it on in together. You still can play Fiendsmith Yummy. That has not changed at all. What has changed is the amount of Radiant Typhoon cards that you can slap into the deck to, try to make the deck consistent. Those have changed. And honestly, that's okay. Konami's made it abundantly clear with, the pieces that we've got right now that we are seeing some little shifts around. It takes us to Train FTK. We've lost Noroi, which I thought was just the absolute end of trains. And then we have the development of an FTK for Trains. Yeah, can't say that I saw that one coming into the meta at all. But it proves to me that players are cooking. Players are looking to come up with crazy ideas that are actually working right now. And to develop an FTK, like something that, Trains would be able to competently work with and be able to top a regional is pretty interesting. So we're going to leave this on the rogue category, just as a reminder. That way you're aware that Trains are a real deck, and then, all of a sudden, you're not getting FTK'd. Just side Hanawata if you're losing to lots and lots of Trains. And then we have Radiant Typhoon. Obviously, this deck is still good enough to top 32. You lost your Searcher in like a seriously sad loss of consistency, but it was not enough to put Radiant Typhoon down. It was still good enough to top 32 the YCS, but I think looking at how things are developing right now, just feel like the deck doesn't have the horsepower that it used to. I feel like this is going to be one of those things that, yeah, it seems good, yeah, it'll continue to pop up, but that's how Rogue works. These are decks that are usually good enough to do well. It's just, we need to be patient and see, where the metagame developments are going to shift for us, and just, what more the meta will bring to the table. So I think that's pretty interesting. And I left Exosister on here. A couple players have been pretty confident in taking Exosister to events. I've not seen them do super well, but they keep telling me that, Cool Tune has a hard time playing into, their end board piece. Which, they had to go pick up Dominus Spirals in order to make this happen, and some of the other powerhouse cards. But I don't know, this deck, it feels pretty good, sure, but I don't know, man. It just feels a little bit weak, in my opinion, for the rogue category right now. but player representation's telling me that I at least got to mention it. So, but what do you guys think about everything? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys.
Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.